talk about it because a lot of people already know you and your capabilities and experiences. So I'm sure that the session is going to be very lively. Uh, just a brief introduction about InfiMind. We started this company on the 1st of January 2018, incorporated as a LLP in the year 2017, and subsequently last year, in March 2020, we converted this LLP into a private limited company. We are basically into three verticals: corporate training, skill development, and of course, corporate consultancy as well. Prior to InfiMind, I was associated as a director with TUV Rhineland India Private Limited, a German multinational company, for about 17 years. End of 2017, I took an early retirement to start this venture. I got a very good team here who are very focused, and we have our presence in other locations as well. Our resources are quite varied. We are into various domains as well, and very happy to state that Mr. Satish sir is with us almost, I would say, since 2018, handle a lot of projects like NPDs and supplier development, vendor development programs, many of it. So he has been a very useful resource for us, and his experience that spans more than about 3 decades. He is in senior positions in Bosch, and as a lot of people already said, it is not confined to just about vendor development or product development. I think he wears multiple hats, and that brings a lot of credence and credibility to the programs that he has already conducted and he has been conducting. We are very happy that he is with us today. And when you talk about, like the slides already talk about what we are doing here in corporate training, NPD, for example, which is again Satish sir domain: shop floor excellence, business excellence, balanced scorecard, business planning, Six Sigma, GD&T, value analysis, value engineering, reliability engineering. The list goes on, and I think we have many programs where Mr. Satish is involved with us. We are also partnered with Avanta Global Singapore for conducting lead auditor courses. Similarly, PECB is a Canada-based accreditation body where we also have certain courses mainly related to the North American markets. So this is about corporate training that we talk about it, and consultancy, of course, a lot of factors revolving around system standards. For example, since we are into TV earlier, anything related, starting from the basics of QMS, then we go into 14,000, 20, 22,000 different standards, including social accountability standards of 8,000, 2014, SMETA, and CMMI, which is a process model, regulatory compliances, so it could be REACH, it could be ROHS, quite a few of them. So, and of course, we are registered with MSME as a government of with the government of India, registered with DPIIT, member of the Safety Council, and these are some of our affiliations that we have. And recently, also being a member of the BCIC, that's the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We are growing, and we are very happy that all of you are here joining us today. These are some of our partial list of clients with whom we have worked for the last 3 years, and the list continues. And we are keen to host a lot of such programs, and Mr. Satish will definitely be with us for many of these ventures. And thanks a lot to all of you, and I'd welcome all of you to this webinar. And over to you, Satish sir.
Thank you. Allow me to share one slide. Okay. Are you able to see this slide?
No.
It's not visible, sir. I mean, you may please press on present key button.
Present, yes.
Then
Entire screen. Okay. Okay. I got it. Okay. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So, if you can put on in the mute for about 40-45 minutes, and please note down your questions. And we can put it at the end just because we have just 1 hour time. And welcome you to this introduction meeting or introduction session, because supplier management is a very, very vast subject. Sometimes, many times it is underestimated or taken for granted in many companies. This is what from my experience on that. So it will give a sort of a cursor to the program which we want to deal little more deeper, which we will make announcement what we are going to do in detail later. So I welcome you all for taking time to attend this program, and I welcome all those people who are with whom I am coming in contact for the first time, and all my other friends of my earlier contacts who was kind enough to come and give an opportunity for us to interact again. So this is the 3 books. So Ravi Kumar already mentioned about knowing is not same as doing. And there is the core philosophy which gets reflected in the other 2 books as well. Because knowledge alone, see the learning, see what is the knowing or attending a session is only a knowing. It will not become learning. It will become learning only when you practice some of the things what you have learned, and it becomes part of you. If this learning is sustained for a long time with conscious awareness and practice, then the transformation happens. So it takes efforts in between from the information to transformation. So this is the whole core thinking in the book, and which I am a strong believer and which I keep everything on that. So information to transformation. So let us try to dissect these words, effective and management. So all of us know that effective is related to the result, and efficiency related to the input that gets into get the result. When we say effective supplier management, this effective supplier management, it has to yield the results what this is intended for. So what is that we need to be more effective? That means, it is not just the doing something, and effectively doing means I focus on the result, what is coming on that. This is what the Stephen Covey says, that keep end in mind. So start with the result, what we intend to get this out of this supplier management, and then work backwards, seeing that what competency we need to develop, what systems we need to have, what should be the process, and what should be the approach, and so on. This is one aspect on the effective. And the management we know. So we are very familiar with all this management, operation management, lean management, you name it, supply chain management, human management, software management, quality management, everywhere. But the one underlying in all this management is, if I have to put it in a very simple layman language, what the job of the management is only one-fold, is to know the gap between where we are and where we should have been. This is the gap, continuously assessing the gap between where we are and where we are. So when we talk in the context of supplier management, if I have to define where we are, then definitely we should have some target, some direction to know. Without reference, we will not even know where we are. So what is the reference for us? So what is the target we have fixed for the supplier management? So then in relation to this target, where we are. And then as a management, what resources we are providing to the supplier, to our colleagues, to get to that or close that gap. So that gap gets identified at the beginning as a part of review. So in the supplier management, we analyze the performance of supplier, because whatever we say, whatever you define at the beginning of the supplier, or when you induct the supplier, educate him, guide him, but that alone is not sustained. If it has to sustain, there should be an effective review of the performance. So how effectively we do the performance. So that means when you look at supplier management, one is in the inducting a supplier. Definitely, we have to take a process on how do we induct a supplier. Because if you induct a wrong supplier and then trying our best to improve the performance, maybe we may not be successful because his aspirations, his way of working may not fit to the way our business demands. So this gap you may not be able to close this at all. So very important portion is first in the supplier management is the supplier induction. Then comes after the induction, then I do the performance. That means I fix a target for him and take the one and then decide through the strategy and then through approach whether to retain that person, whether he is matching, whether he is willing, whether we should be replaced or should be dumped, or what is that? This is a part of the supplier strategy. And finally, those suppliers with whom we want to work for a longer time and whom we feel has not only the capability and also the attitude, and there is a match fit of the thinking or the aspirations of both, then those are all the suppliers who are qualified to take them in the journey of supplier development, because there's a lot of effort. So if I want to get all these things, I should have a clarity of where my energy should be. Suppose now imagine you have 100 suppliers, okay? And we have a limited time of 8 hours. No, you cannot think of developing every 100 suppliers. So naturally, we have to be very focused on where our energy should be or where we should dump, where he is sucking energy or where is that. This is where we are managing all these aspects, including the priority, to get the results effectively. So this is the two word which I wanted to do that. So supplier sometime interchangeably used as vendor. Okay. So you know that vendor, but nowadays nobody uses the vendor. It is supplier. Now in the new standard and ISO and IATF standard, they are called external service providers. Right. Next comes to look at very effectively. See, one of the core principles which I believe in all my interactions is going to the fundamentals, and you will see that because it is an introductory meeting. Introductory session, there could be some participants maybe new to that, so I go a little bit one. Those who are already familiar, it's a reinforcement for you, and probably you can also add your point at the end depending on the time permits. So when we look at what is the exchange process that happens, see, there's a constant exchange between supplier and customer, and all of us play a double role. We are either the customer or we are supplier to somebody. All of us have the double role. So there is an exchange. What is the exchange that happens? See, from the supplier to the customer, the material or the service. So it can be a tangible or it could be an intangible. Tangible means in the physical product, but intangible could be like software, could be service, including the training, consulting. These are all intangible. That means there is some value addition that happens from the supplier to the customer, and there is another flow that happens from the customer to supplier in terms of money. So that value, what he recognized for the service, what he has received, that not necessarily be in the monetary term. It can be some recognition, it can be some appreciation, it can be a certificate, it can be a word of advertisement, whatever it is. There is some exchange happens that. If there is a mismatch of this exchange, then we have a problem, right? So that is where it is, and how effectively we manage. Is this exchange process smooth? Is one of the core job of supplier management. And I will come to that little more what this smooth means. And when we talk of exchange, there are essentially three flows that happens. One is flow of material or flow of the information or the knowledge, which happens essentially in the service product, like training. Training is also a product. So if I ask me what is my product is an intangible product. You cannot even touch that product, and I don't have the inventory of my product. I cannot keep the inventory. And this product of what I do is highly dependent on me, highly dependent on the mood of that person, highly dependent on the individual, his capability, his thinking, his knowledge. So service product has a different challenge to manage the performance. So when we say supplier, so it can be a surface. See, I had a chance to define for a company, a recruitment company with 100 people, to define how do they define quality in that company. So their product is, everything is service. They are serving to HR. Then, the whole team of 100, I had to spend nearly so many, at least 15, 20 days to make them define, how do you define the quality in the service? So if I don't define that, how do we measure that? How do we know that we are improving? So that was their biggest challenge. So then we had to make them understand on that. So what is the parameter on which the performance is measured? So this is on the first flow. The second flow that happens is the money or the recognition. So let's take for the convenience money flow. If the money is not paid, what is the motivation for supplier to do? So it is important that he has to be motivated, he has to run. So this is also one of the job. Because as a purchaser, we play as an individual. We are a supplier, we are representing a supplier inside the company and representing customer with the supplier. So purchaser is like a shock absorber between these two. So he gets sometimes, bombarded from both sides. So he has to take care of the supplier interest in getting that money on time. Otherwise, see what happens many times, this exchange process does not happen because what is his likely interest to work with the company? It has to be attractive. So it is not the day is gone. When they say, okay, supplier have to listen to me. No. Now, many times I have done for suppliers a training program. How do you select a customer? We always used to hear, how do you select a supplier? And nobody talked of how do you select a customer. I said, this is also equally important. How do you channelize who is the right customer for you? If there is an opportunity, of course, it depends on the situation where he is there. But if he starts thinking that, then he will also start thinking whether there is a max, both things, the matches the flow. And the third one, which is extremely important in supply chain management, across when it flows across the companies, across the suppliers, and also the customers, is the flow of information. It is both ways. So how effective is the communication? How you have explicitly told what you want? Using that word very carefully, I'm using the word explicitly. Does he know exactly what you want? Is there a possibility of ambiguity in him understanding what we really want? So the information could also be a purchase order, could be an invoice, could be a drawings, could be the communication, could be sketches, norms, and the schedules. The information of readiness, advanced shipping information, quality information, customer complaint information, the solutions. How do we ensure that there is automatic synchronized flow of information between the supplier and the customer? And it could be sometime when we talk in the context of supply chain management, we extend beyond that to suppliers, also to the customer. And today, see, many companies, the big companies, today they are working what is called as point of sales. Point of sales means, suppose now I am supplying a part to the refrigerator. I am the unique supplier for the refrigerator. And moment it is sold in a retail showroom, I already get a signal immediately that something is going to come for me, so that I can keep my material ready. I can prepare our material ready because I know the replacement has to be done. And he need not have to wait till from the retailer it goes to the dealer to the distributor to the manufacturer, and to the supplier. There could be a lot of delay by the time information comes, and the supplier may not have enough time to fulfill that. So how much we use this communication whether it's a software, whether it's a Excel sheet, whether it's a phone call, what is that? How effectively we keeping updated of what is happening, and smoother will be the flow. So what happens without effective supplier management? Happens, everything happens, right? Having a department, something will work, but question is that working effectively is the question. So what happens is this: purchaser will become a chaser. Chaser for what? Chaser for material, chaser for information. And sometimes you can see that in the high decibel voice in the departments on the supplier. And many times I have seen empty number of cases where person who is chasing them has not even given the purchase order, and then they realize, oh, is it so? Purchase order is not given, this communication is not given, that is not given. Then you realize on that. So firefighting. So what happens firefighting? Then we know what is the stress, what is the quality. Many times who work on firefighting, they are the people who are creating the fire. We don't even realize that we are creating the fire. Why that fire is coming? Because there is no good system or good process to handle that. Or maybe the want of knowledge, the want of competency among the people to handle that. Then we end up as a chaser, which is on a day-to-day, and you have left with a very less time to look at the strategic or the tactical level of thinking. So why supplier management? Number one, or being competitive and increase of ROI. Being competitive, no question about that today. And we talk of many C's, which I normally cover in some other time. One is our complexity of business is increasing. Second one is our competitors. Third one is, our compliance issues are increasing. And competitiveness. Competitiveness means what is that? Our ability to compete against our competitor. So we have to run against our competitor. No choice about that. Unless you are in such a monopoly product where you don't have a competitor. We call that as a blue ocean strategy. But there again, the complacency develops, and very soon you will have competitor and you lose everything. And we have seen many number of companies. Like for example, if you take SD in Mysore and such, they thought we are my first motorcycle I waited for 2 years. Okay, they thought, there is no need for me to change because I am the king. They were the model also was called Road King. The king, we are also king of the business. What happened to the king? It became a pauper, and then company had to close down. So we have to watch continuously on the competitor. See, in the book, The Great Entrepreneur, I have written a separate chapter on how to beat competition. Right? So we have to run faster than the competitor. There is no doubt about that. But in a healthy way. Okay? In a healthy way. And then the purchaser or the effective supplier management support for the increase of ROI, return of investment. I'll come to that very soon on that. Because this is one of the targets for the CEO of the company or the managing director of the company. It is not the profit is target. Because I see, for example, a profit may, over the year, I may increase the profit, but I would have invested too much. So now one of the target is what is the utilization of the asset as a company, as a business. So that is what he looks at, the top management views this supplier management group or this purchase group. It is not just the cost reduction, but cost reduction is coming one. So I will allow me to come to the next slide, a little more detail on that. Second one is the focus on core competency. Every company wants to excel in whatever they are good at and leave the rest to the supplier. And it is increasing what we call as the depth of operation, and manufacturing, it is increasing. In an earlier company in the Bosch, where I worked, hundreds of machines were given to suppliers. Which I was also in charge for about 1.5 years for that project to give out 100 machines to the suppliers. What is the idea? Because these operations, which is considered as a standard technology, which is easily available in the market, why should I spend my energy? So then slowly the concept of outsourcing came in the picture. So then they started thinking not only the decision of to send out the part, and also about the process like accounting processes, HR processes, training processes, traveling processes. They said, okay, why should we be a technology-driven company? We should focus on technology. Why should I waste my time on that? This is applicable for all of us. I don't waste my time in doing the accounting of my accounts. I can do that myself. It's easy. But I feel my core competency is in my training, in developing new things, on mentoring or in those. So these things I'll give to somebody who is good at better than me, faster than me. So this concept is catching up. This is becoming more important, and this effectiveness has a bigger role to play. And support in asset management. This is again related to ROI. So when you make or buy decisions, of course, company will take care of the secrecy when deciding. There are so many other factors to decide, which we will talk on a little more in the actual program, on what basis this make or buy decision is made, and what is the right way to look at when I have to decide whether to invest on this machine or not. This question comes. So at that time, this will come as a support function. And also flexibility to manage capacity. For a short term, for example, if there's a demand for capacity for next 3 years as a strategic reason, if your data shows, then it is worth investing here. But if you are not sure that whether this capacity is momental, so then I say, okay, 25% I will give it to the outsourcing or give it to the supplier, and then as a short-term one, so this is where supplier management comes in the picture. And smooth supplies, taking care of quality, cost, delivery, risk, and speed and flexibility. Smooth supplies for the day-to-day requirement. Smooth means with least intervention. This is we call in Japanese in 3M. This is called mura. Mura means evenness. There is no exaggeration. There is no shocks. There is no shocks in terms of quality, in terms of cost, in terms of delivery, day to day. We call this as day-to-day hurdles, because these day-to-day hurdles is one of the eater of the energy of the company. Just imagine one complaint from supplier, which led to the customer complaint, can drain away the energy of the whole company, of the whole management for the whole day. And nobody will be available, you imagine what is the value addition of this company. And the same company, if I go and tell him, I have a solution for you, they say, no, sir, because they are comfortable with that. They are not even realizing that they are spending a lot of time on that. There is a cost of poor quality. I'm not talking of in general in cost of poor quality, but in one incidence. It happened 2 days back. One supplier, I tried to contact them. He said, sir, everybody in the company is busy because there is one customer complaint. Whole day. Can you believe? Every person, making reports, making this. And then question came was, I asked later the next day, could you have been avoided? Yes, but will it happen overnight unless they work on the system, unless they work on the process, or work on the people of center, or being aware that this is destroying us? So this is where management effectively will come. It is not just doing the task; it is doing the task with awareness. Now, how do we bring that in the effectiveness? And how do we involve suppliers in the design stage? This is sort of simultaneous engineering or concurrent engineering. As the product gets developed, as the product's getting designed, even at the concept stage, do we have a mechanism where we know that these suppliers can be shortlisted? We can work parallelly so that you save time. Because every company, the company has a business requirement, speed is essential. The day is gone when it is the survival of the fittest. Now, The day is survival of the fastest. So how speed, time to market, speed, NPD, how fast you are. So how do we involve supplier? If I have to involve, I should know what supplier capable is, whom should be involved, to what extent, what is his capability, how do I increase their capability? I tell you one case, earlier one company we visited, I don't want to name the company, it's a very big company, maybe some 300, 400 crore company. Now when I visited first time, then I looked at that, your capability on the design is very poor. I'm not convinced that you will be able to handle our product. And I said, I can consider you looking at you, provided you show me a roadmap in 1 year, how you build a design setup here. You won't believe, he took it very seriously, created a design department, employed people, even as a cost of investment. And later, same person came to me after 2 years and saying that, sir, that day you made us one. Now, today, we are able to go to many, many customers and we are able to change the design thinking. Now, we were able to use that facility to involve in the product at a conceptual stage to doing some prototypes. And here we could involve because, see, suppose now I am designing a spring. So how much of the design of the OEMs or the tier 1 supplier are capable to design a spring? No. But the spring manufacturer who has worked for 20 years in the spring, he knows. He may tell you, use this material, use this for this application from his experience, but provided I am open to access or ready to take that input into my design and incorporate those thinking. One of the company which this was done was this Tata Motors when they created this Nano. Of course, Nano was a failure, is a case study of why the failure, but it has given a lot of positivity in the company in saying that we can make cars cheaper. People started thinking differently. People never thought we can make a small alternator like GKN and other thing made about 32 iterations to come to the what Nano wanted. How they were successful? Not because Tata Motor knew everything. They involved all the suppliers and tapped their knowledge. Each team went and created office in each one of the tier 1 suppliers and sat there. How do we jointly design? Right? This is the contribution of the purchaser. And what is the suppliers? Who is this? This is a part of the strategy. What is our business? This is called, we call as the business bit, the strategic fit. What is our future strategy of the company? How do we align a supplier who will match with our strategy? For example, I may have a product in future which comes more of electronic product. Now I should start now. Who should be the supplier who is ready to upgrade, who is ready to forgo, who have a succession plan, who has the capability, the financial business risk is less, he has an aspirations to grow. What is that? Risk management is also one of the very important element in the supplier management. We will cover very much in detail. So with the checklist on how to manage risk with the suppliers. This is one of the core element on that. Otherwise, what happens if we don't manage risk, we end up with crisis. What happens crisis? We know the word itself crisis is a mess always. Every crisis cannot be, made it zero, but it can be mitigated by doing a risk management. How do we analyze, is there a business risk with this supplier? Is there a succession plan with this company? Is the next generation picking up the business? Which direction they are moving? So, for a purchaser, if he has to do all these things, he has to come out on the day-to-day hurdles. So then I should have the established process clarity. Then I have time to think of future. If I am spending my time in solving yesterday's problem and little bit of time, which I don't have time, where is my time even to think about future? This is the key question. It's a reflective question that comes in the picture in every task, including the supply chain. And it is supply chain is almost once. Because I've seen a lot of companies, suddenly there's a company, with high risk and analysis not done, supply strategy not done. Suddenly you realize, yes, this machine has breakdown, there is no alternative. Because then we realize, yes, this study was not done properly. And the last one is counter the forces from suppliers. What is these forces? See, there is a force, there are five forces working on the company. Okay, I will come to this later. Maybe there is a mismatch of slide, doesn't matter. There are five forces working on this company. So let me take the cursor to it. Yeah. See, one force is the force which is put by the buyer. So what is the customer's force? Customer force is lower the price, improve the quality, do this, do that. Lot of complaints issues, lot of expectations keep on increasing. PPM, reduce PPM. The response time has to increase, speed has to increase, cost has to come down, delivery has to improve. So these are all the forces coming from the buyer. What is the force from the supplier? Exactly opposite of that. You accept whatever I give you. Allow me to increase the price. Exactly opposite of that. That is why it is written opposite of that. What is the third force is the rivalry. Rivalry means the competitor force, because he creates a lot of pros. And the fourth one is the threat of entry. That means he is not a competitor today, but he is a potential competitor. How do I allow a potential competitor? Because if I don't have some uniqueness in me, if I'm doing some role of the mill, I don't even think, I don't have that, then it is easy for competitor to do exactly what I'm doing. It is a question of time. He will eat away our business. That means our business, we are able to allow our competitor entry. This is how do I create a barrier so that it is difficult for him to enter into our line. And the last one is the threat of substitutes. Your product itself may become obsolete. Now today, already the way we started, because I also did some partial webinars on EV products and EV business future and how this EV is going to stay in this in this India, what is going to happen, and many debates. So if the product itself is substituted, then there is a threat to my business. So this is at the company level. Okay, let's leave that. So this is at the company level. So let's come to since our topic is related to the supplier. So let's look at what is that bargaining power of suppliers. Okay. See this situation. There are few suppliers and many buyers. So who is creating the force now? Suppliers are large and threaten to forward integrate. He will say, okay, you are supplying you are buying the forging, you will say, I will do machining. He may approach your customer also. And they have very scarce resources. This is the reason why, still today, in some of the motors, in electric motors and batteries, still we are to a great extent have to depend on China, because the material scores is scarce, very resources very low for this material, and China is in abundance. So then they will dictate on the price. And then few substitute product and service. We don't have many alternate. For example, I am buying a chip, so there is no choice for me unless I change the whole design itself so that I can use on that. So that he may create a lot of force on that. And the cost of switching products. So next comes our real detailed topic is how do we manage the supplier strategy. This means what strategy I will have to overcome these forces. So these forces can be broken by effective supplier management, which will turn means in a correct strategy, in the analysis, in knowing which force, which supplier, whether I have to live with this person, what is that if it's a single source, what is that if it's a multi-source, how do you manage the risk, what is the alternate scenario for that. Okay, before that, this 2 point would like to look at that. How many of you believe this price is equal to cost plus profit? Can you put in your chat what is right? How many of you believe? You put your chat. So agree or don't agree? Price is equal to cost plus profit. I'm watching the chat. Not agree? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Don't say 50-50 because that will be a political statement. Either you have to agree or you don't agree. Have only two. Agree, no. Right? Chandramouli says no. Some more parameter to be added. Arun Kumar, yes. Ravi Kumar says no. Very good. Not agree. Not. Okay. So let's pick up one of them. Right? Okay. Right. So let's go to Shrikant Prasad. You say no. So then what is right? Can you come online?
Hello?
Yeah, please, Shrikant.
Sir, price alone cannot be a factor because we need to consider the raw material or the changing factors into consideration. And not only profit, the manpower, all those resources needs to be considered.
My question was, this equation, price is equal to cost plus profit, is this equation right or wrong? That's all. How do we calculate that? We'll come to that later. Okay. Thank you, Shrikant. So anybody wants to add? Anil Kumar, not agree. So why, if you don't agree on this equation, what is the right equation? Anybody else here? Anil Kumar, Pradeep, not agree.
Mr. Chandramouli has raised the hand, sir. He said,
okay, please, Chandramouli.
Yeah, from what we are taught, the price is decided by the customer, and based on that, depending on the profit what we expect, we need to arrive the cost what we need. So we cannot dictate that this is my cost and I want this profit, so you pay me this price. So this doesn't work.
So what is the right equation?
Right equation would be cost is equal to the other way, the price minus expected profit.
Excellent. So give a big hand to Chandramouli. Yes, that is the thinking. The earlier, see, this thinking of price is equal to cost per profit still works to a great extent in the public sector or the government. So that means there is a cost incurred to manufacture a product. I decide what should be the profit, and then I ask my customer to pay for the price. This was the concept. Even still, it works in the military, maybe in the defense sector and the government sector. That means we are asking the customer to pay for all our inefficiency, and we decide the profit luxury what we want to have. So in this business, in today's scenario, this will not work because the price is decided by the market, competitor sometime, or by the customer. So what works is equal to cost is equal to price minus profit. So if I have to sell at the product at this price and then want this profit, then I have to manufacture this at this cost. So, and the supplier management plays a very huge role in controlling this cost. So the right formula is cost is equal to price minus profit, unless I'm in a monopolistic stage, or I can dictate the price whatever I want. So that's a different game altogether. Okay. So next comes the ROI of the company. All of us know this simple formula. profit is equal to profit divided by capital invested. So profit is again cost, the price minus cost. So if I have to increase the profit, definitely I have to work on the cost. And the capital invested, to a great extent, I can reduce by make or buy, number one, or the capital invested also includes the inventory cost. So by effective supplier management, the purchaser can contribute for the inventory reduction, thereby reducing this capital invested and contributing for the increase of the profit, which supports the bigger objective of the company, macro objective of the company of increasing ROI. Okay, so let's come to the next slide. So how much time we have, Siju? Hello? So what do we need to take care to ensure this? So I have put this as we have to work for rights. I'm not talking of constitution rights. It's a plural of right. This rights is a plural of right, not the constitution rights. So what are these rights? The number one is right price and value. So how do we ensure that on a total cost of ownership basis that we have the right price value for that whatever we are purchasing? Of course, when it comes to us, it becomes a cost. For him, for the supplier, it's the price. What is the right quality? Consistent quality. And how do we ensure that we have the right time and availability? That means when we want, that product is available at that time without delay, right? Quantity and whatever is asked, and the right place where this is required. This has something to do with the defining the logistics and the right condition. That means it talks about the packaging and the right process. Right process, not only for the manufacturing there, also for the process of bringing the product into one. It could be a purchase order process, could be a payment process, or to control these different flows, what we talked. And the right product itself, so that you should not give some alternate on that. How do we ensure that? What is the right warranty for that? Have we defined that? What is the right payment terms? Because that has a lot of influence on the cash flow of the company. And are we looking at the right innovation? Are we pushing the supplier to do something different? Especially if you're buying a product with a black box design, not to your print. Because if you are looking at a supplier only, he has to supply as per your print, he may not be able to do much on that scope. Maybe he can do some innovation in the process, but cannot do much on the product. And what is the right social responsibility, right? So this is what, this InfiMind also talked about SA. I don't know how many of you noticed that. Social Accountability 8000. Still it has not come, but it is going to come into India very soon. It is there very much predominant in the garment sectors. Okay. Many multinationals are happening, but Indian companies still not populated. But it is happening. Maybe Mr. Oscar sir is there, he can comment on that.
Yes, sir. I think social accountability standard is catching up mainly because of the requirement of foreign buyers.
Somebody mute.
Can you please unmute, please?
Unmute.
Yeah.
Tell me, sir.
Yeah, I think the social accountability standard is basically because of the foreign buyers insist that whenever they are buying products or services from India, the manufacturers here comply with all the regulations. It could be labor, it could be wage pact. It's how we treat the labor, what are the working conditions. There are quite a lot of parameters that work through. And now there is something called the RBA, which is mainly for the electronic industry. And most of these people come under the same platform, but unfortunately, as you already mentioned, that it is mainly because of the buyer's insistence this is being practiced, but not really the ownership coming in from the Indian industry itself.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, sir. See, that social responsibility environment you brought out in very one, because all of us, you look at our own industry, we don't change unless we have to. Who is that? In India, only two, either the customer or the government or the Supreme Court or the court. Did we not know that environment, this plastic is bad? Every one of us knew, but we never made because unless it is pushed. So now, as a purchaser, I have made some some webinars exclusively on this topic, and is also we are going to cover this topic as the responsibility of purchasers. Because if you educate him on the social responsibility for him on the environment, and then you are bringing a big change on that. But there are companies, okay, like Bosch. Bosch is also not insisting that, but I know some company like Volvo and other thing. If you are not ISO 14001 or 14,000, you cannot even make an entry. It's minimum. That means they say it is also part of my social responsibility to ensure that my supply chain follows all this, my requirement, whatever we follow. So that is also one of the responsibility for purchasers. And the ethics, of course, as an individual and as a department, because many of the purchasers are sitting in the glass chamber. Sometimes this could be an issue. We have to be very careful on that. And how do we support supplier support? How do we support him whenever they need that? So what type of support we are offering him in terms of development, in terms of issues, because sometimes they may not have the capability to solve on their own. So the day was gone, the day is gone now, when we used to say, no, it is your headache. I don't know what you do. This may not work. Now I have to get to know him. So we talk of KYC, know your customer. I ask this question to purchaser, what is your KYS? Know your supplier. To what extent do you know, other than the name? Do you know exactly what they are suffering? What is their problem? How can I support them? In what way I can extend? Either through us or bringing the right people there. What is the type of support? How do we have to push him? Because if he is in problem tomorrow, then we will be in problem. So this is where the responsibility comes on that. So it is what we call as the relationship is interdependence. The way he wants you, we also want him. So both has to take care to ensure that this happens. The risk management, already we talked about that.
Satish, I have a point.
Hello?
Satish, Sriram here. I have a point. Can I take a minute?
Please.
Okay. See, since I was a part of vendor and now supplier, so I have seen both sides of it. What I feel it's a marriage. Both has to respect each other to get the effectiveness.
Perfect.
And I respect even the smallest of the vendors, biggest of the suppliers. So unless we have a chemistry, it doesn't work good. Many times the bigger companies try to monopolize. But when it comes to an opportunity for me, I try to go back to them saying, look, earlier you were on the stronghold, now I am on the stronghold. It's not that we face each other, but we work with each other.
Very good. Well, I will come to this point in next slide, Sriram. Okay, yeah. Thanks for adding.
Yeah, thank you.
And the right financial stability. How do we ensure that? How do we watch? This may be very difficult in proprietary companies. Public sector company or the private limited companies, we may have the access to the balance sheet or P&L and so on. But other one, how do we watch? So this is where we have to have very careful in watching what is happening. Is there a delay? Is there a material issue? Then this is a part of the risk management. And how do we ensure that they are committed to the Kaizen or the improvements on a day-to-day basis? Right technology and right contractual terms, which may include the liability issues, it may include the replacement warranty, it may include the other contractual. If something happens fatal at the place or at the customer, when the customer visits there, if something happens, what is going to happen? And also ensure that they have the right reputation. Because if you are dealing with a company who is not reputed, has a very bad name in the market, you also link to that. So then many companies are working on their brand. They're very you know one company in one Apple supplier here in Bangalore. You know, they didn't pay for about 3 months or so. Somebody went to court or something. Immediately, Apple blacklisted them because they knew something will come to their name. And we buy Apple because such a big brand. We don't even ask for the price of the Apple. They have created, you know, just for the brand name, worked for so many years, and they don't want to get such spoiled because of the bad reputation of somebody doing some mischief. So we have to ensure that if there is any such things, then we have to watch that. See, sensing is the first portion of responding comes later. Do you have mechanisms to sense all these things? Is the first question. And then performance monitoring, consistency of monitoring. Is there a least variation on that? What is the speed, agility? Agility for the response, agility for the customer complaints, agility for the audit point, agility for delivery, new product development. And is it what is the right of convenience for you to buy from that supplier? It should be easy for us. No, this is one of ease of doing the business, is ease of buying. And then they have safety practices. So again, this is a part of that OSHA standard or ISO 45001. How do you ensure that? Because if something happens there, again you get affected. So this is how we are taking. And the compliance, part of maybe social responsibility, all this PF, gratuity, whether people are paid in salary, whether they're taken care, health conditions also, it could be a part of the other standard as well. And also right country, if you are especially buying from outside, where is the political stability, currency fluctuation, and so on. So for this product, if you are doing the country from that, I had some opportunity earlier to source from other countries like Taiwan, China, and Japan. Then I can tell very well, in China, it's very hard to know. They give a price, but very hard to know whether they will sustain or not. So price is one, but I never know when the shock will come. So then we have to be very careful in checking, do our due diligence, and find out whether we have done enough homework before deciding the source. Sorry, this is social responsibility is repeated. Okay, leave that portion. And the last one is very important, very difficult to measure, is the right attitude. Because if this is wrong, all other things, whatever I told so far, can go wrong. This is very one, we have to watch. It is not, sometimes the attitude can kill all other success on that. Right? So to take care of all this, we should have a process. So let's not get into the details. From the time you decide on the supplier till the development strategy, what do we have that process, and how do we ensure that this process is followed efficiently, consistently, so that it gives the intended results of supplier management. So 4 processes, I talked about that right at the beginning: supplier selection, supplier performance monitoring, and supplier strategy, and supplier development. Okay. Now, very important question, which is normally taken for granted. This is one of my core element in developing the purchasers. I said, who you are as a leader, not as a functional person. What is that leadership you are taking as a purchaser? Say, I take this as 4-1. The level 1 is the least level, is the position. Any leader, by virtue of the position, is very short-lived. People follow you because they have no choice. They listen to you because you are sitting in that seat. They are sitting in that seat, in that power. Whatever mess you say, a leader, and then you get a feeling that, people are listening to me. This is a mistake many leaders fail. Many leaders fail. Somebody was asking me, The other day, sir, you were there in Bosch in that position for so many years. Even after 10 years, you have the same thing with the suppliers. How is that? I said, I was sitting there as Satish, not in that position. So this is very important factor. I just not trying to, talk, advertise myself, but just to drive that point. So position will not stay on that. That is okay for a short term, but go to the next level on relationship. People follow you because they want to. For that, I have to improve my listening skills. Right? If I don't improve that listening skill, relationship will not matter. What is his problem? What is this? A little bit of empathy on that. This is level 2 leadership. Then go to the third level, results. People follow you because of what you have delivered, because of the results. Right? Apart from position, you also know here is a person who has done something results, who have proved, not only he's talking, he has demonstrated, here's the results. Yes, it is worthwhile to follow this person, worthwhile to look at this person. The fourth level is the commitment. What is your commitment? Not only you honor your words, and also you commit to develop others, help others. People follow you because of what you have done for them. They say, here is somebody, okay, who is helping us. To what extent we help our supplier? This is the commitment level. The last one is a very, very difficult level, the respect. You get moral authority to lead. This is the people, who they follow you for who you are. Like, Vivekananda or some people at that level, get to that people, they follow because they respect that. There is no element of iota in that. They come to the higher level, they have gone through all these levels, and they're above that people. They vote for you every day. And the challenge in that respect is, I have to leave every day. One mistake done, you will be pulled down. So think on that. So as a purchaser, where is our leadership and how do we develop that leadership? Because unless we have that leadership, all this supplier management will not be effective. It is not the position, it is not the process, it is the individual as a leader, then how the supplier management can happen on that. So anybody can guess what these photos mean? The left photo is a true purchaser, very vigilant. He gets into the micro level. He can able to see from the top. There is some worm going on. He can go to the down, catch, and then come back. Okay, very sharp, alert. And the right side it is what is called as bullfrog. What is bullfrog? You can Google it and find out. A bullfrog, one of the few animals who never sleep. So if I mess up in the supply chain, you will not be able to get all sleep. I may lose a lot of sleep like bullfrog. Okay, so I thank you for all your patience and thanks for your attention. I welcome you for the questions before we conclude and make the announcement a little later.
Thank you, Satish sir. Yeah, we request the participants to unmute and ask any question. We will take a couple of questions here. The rest of the things you can email to us, and we will forward to Mr. Satish, and he will clarify to you. So we request questions from your side, participants.
Siju, can I go?
Yes, please. Yes, Guru sir.
Yeah. Okay. See, basically, it was a refresher for me and I have written down 2 points which I could re-emphasize again and then see what I can learn more. The program is very good. One thing that I wanted to say is it's always a cat and mouse game between a factory and a purchase team and a factory and a vendor, a supplier or a vendor. So today, mutual respect actually solves a lot of problem. And earlier, like 15, 20 years back, there was monopoly. Today, the monopoly is not there. That is one. Second thing is, when it comes to social responsibility, what I have seen is a lot of companies try to manage things very artificially. They have to do that on a realistic end, even if it is small, but they need to be focused on it and then say we are going to do this for the benefit of the employees and for the society. It is not that a foreign buyer should insist and then we do it temporarily. Once the season is over, they again come back to their normal grounds. Because some of the things that I have seen is small companies do big than the bigger companies where they do it only at an artificial level.
Very good. Thank you, Sriram. I fully agree with you. One is the consistency of whatever they practice. See, one of the challenge across the companies, in fact, we made a separate initiative for this, for the operational focus, is over the period, many of the system what you establish gets diluted. Okay. The maintaining consistency is very point. Second point on the mutual respect, the initiation has to come from the purchaser, not the other way around. Because this is where, see, the leader always takes the initiative. Okay. So the supplier on their own may not come unless the customer responds to that. So the responsibility starting point lies with the purchaser. Thanks for sharing and very valuable inputs. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any other question, please? Yeah, you can unmute. You can unmute and talk. Yes, please. Yeah.
Hello. Anybody? No, there was one hand raised. Somebody? Hello, somebody raised a hand. Okay.
Yeah, sir, there is a question. Someone requested to explain the last slide once again.
Okay.
This is from Mr. Srinivasan.
This one, huh?
Yes, sir, your punch slide. Yes.
Okay. This is, the left side is, a true purchaser where he is very, very vigilant, very observant, watching at the macro level and also at the micro level. Right? Both. Like our drone camera. It goes to macro level. Wherever there's a problem, it comes to the micro level, take the photo, and again it go back. So this is the one true purchaser. So that means he gets into the macro level of a strategy and also get into the micro level what happened yesterday. Right? Very vigilant. And the right one is called bullfrog. It never sleeps. If you Google it, you will know some holy jellyfish or some 3-4 animals who don't sleep at all. I don't know how they get that energy. This could be some lot of biological research must be going on and how they manage their energy without sleeping. So if you mess up, don't do many of those things. And if you have a sizable number of suppliers to manage and it is not, you may end up a partial sleep, if not the full sleep. You may tend to go towards a bullfrog. Is that clear, Srinivasan? Hello.
Great, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Very cool.
Thank you. Any other question, please? Any other question?
Or any other comment you want to add? Was it useful? Was it, added some value? Is the time what you have invested? Was the ROI okay? Was your time invested? Was it okay?
Yeah, it was actually a refresher. And if supply chain management is something which is always a challenge. Okay, the more you learn, the more you gain. And especially with somebody hearing from the horse mouth, it gives more knowledge and courage for me to see what I'm doing good, what I'm doing wrong. So refresh and then support each other, because it is something which we should better our vendors and our factories. That is what I have taken up as a challenge also now, to educate, saying that these are the good practices which will help us to sleep smoothly, sleep better.
Very good. Thank you. See, this program in detail, okay, about the risk, about the competencies for purchaser, competencies for, how to start understand that process and so on. So program is planned by CIJU on 6th and 7th of August. So it's a 2-day program, 4 hours each, on effective supplier management. And some of you are your colleagues or something. CIJU, can you share more on that?
Yeah. InfiMind Institute is planning. We have a scheduled day program on effective supplier management. It is 8 hours training program spread over 2 days, 6th and 7th of July, Friday and Saturday. So
no, July or August.
Sorry. So 6th and 7th of August. I am sorry, extremely sorry. So 6th and 7th of August, I repeat. So if we request all participants to please look into your calendar and please join us for that session. And if more details required for course contents and other details, you may please email to my email ID ciju.nair@infimindinstitute.com. I'll just put it here. And also, is there any other further questions here? So you can also email to us. We will forward to Mr. Satish for getting clarification on that. And we are getting a lot of messages here regarding these comments on the program. Thank you very much for all the comments. And Satish sir, any other points from your side?
No, you can also suggest some of the topics that you think related to your job that should be covered there. So that this program becomes more effective. Okay. Thank you, Rajaram.
Thank you.
Shivaraman.
So before that, before closing the session, we are posting here on link the feedback form. Just click on the link, and it takes only maximum 2 minutes to fill up the things. I would request Mr. Nitin to please post the link here in the chat box. And I request once again, thank you very much for your participation, and thank you, Satish sir. And I request Bhaskar sir to do the closing remarks, sir.
Once again, Shivaraman, I have to respond to you because you asked more detail about the risk management. That takes about 2 hours. And if you join that program, it is a part of that program. You can definitely learn from that. Thank you.
Shivaraman, we will contact you for giving more details about the detailed program, which is planned on 6th and 7th of August. So thank you once again. Thank you all. Bhaskar sir, thank you. Bhaskar sir.
Thanks, Satish sir. Thanks all the participants for joining for this program. It was very, very interesting to learn a lot of things about supplier management. And as sir has told, it's quite an elaborate program. We have to go deep into that. And the 2-day session that we are planning sometime in August, I think will throw more light into various aspects of the supplier management program. We eagerly look forward to seeing you all for this program, and any further queries, clarifications, you may reach out to Mrs. CIJU Nair. Thank you a lot and have a nice weekend. Thank you, Satish sir. Thank you.
Thank you all for participating, and take care, stay safe, and be in touch. Good day.
Yeah, CIJU has submitted the form. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.